By a show of hands, how many of you still have your parents? Great. I am fortunate enough to have 4 parents. I've shared with you in the past that my mom and dad divorced when I was 10. When I was 15 and 16, respectively, both parents remarried. And my step-parents and my parents are also alive. I had an opportunity during the Christmas break to go to Tampa, Florida to celebrate my dad's 80th birthday. It was a surprise to him. It would have been a surprise even if he had known, because my dad is battling dementia. So even if he had been told a time or two, it still would have been a surprise to him. There were moments where everything was really, really light and fun. Then there were other moments where you could tell the disease had progressed farther than I thought it had. So the last time I was in Florida was 2.5 years ago, and although he was frail at the time and I knew that he was at the beginning stages of dementia, I really didn't know to what extent he had progressed, because when I call him on Sunday afternoons, he knows who I am, and he talks about things that have happened during the week, but you really don't have a bird's eye view until you're actually there in his presence. So I arrived on a Friday afternoon, which was the week before Christmas, December 16th. It was his birthday, and my stepmom had actually planned a surprise party for him. All of us were gathered at a table similar to this, maybe a little bit longer, and we walked into the restaurant. Everybody was already seated, all the guests there, and my brother also flew in here from California, was seated at the table. My dad's speaking to everybody as he's walking around. He looks at my brother, and he got teary-eyed because he realized who my brother was. He says, "Oh my God, my oldest son is here." So like I said, there were moments where he knew everything that was going on. He recognizes all 4 kids, but then there's moments where he tells the same story over and over, which at times can really be comical, because you'll look and say to yourself, did he just say that 2 minutes ago? So I had an opportunity for that week prior to Christmas to hear the story about when he was a track star in junior high school. That was a story he was stuck on December 16th through December 23rd. So I felt like I was stuck in Groundhog Day, where every few minutes the same story came up again, and every few minutes I'm thinking to myself, I think I'm stuck in Groundhog Hell. But you learn to appreciate it, because you realize that the moments that we have with our parents really are fleeting in the big scheme of things. In the term of eternity, really are very short, the time that we have with them. I remember being about 14 or 15 years old and challenging my dad to a foot race. And my dad smoked me. I thought I was a track star, but he smoked me. So I look across the table at this frail man, all of maybe 125 pounds, that he's lost weight over the years, and I realize that he now has the old man shuffle. I don't know if any of you have ever heard the old men that drag their feet, but you can hear them coming from a mile away. Shoo, 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 shoo. And so I was getting accustomed to hearing that while I was there in Florida, and I realized that there's going to come a time and a day where I'm going to want to hear those shuffling of feet. So I'll fast forward a little bit, or I'll actually rewind. So that's my dad's story at 80 years old. My stepdad will be 87 next month. And they are almost mirror images of one another in terms of what they do, because my stepdad also has dementia. Think about having one parent with dementia and then magnify that times 2. So the story he's stuck on is also from childhood, and it's when he was living on a farm. His parents had a distillery. I don't even know what they called it back then, but I guess it was moonshine. If any of you know what moonshine is, it was illegal at the time, but his father had encouraged him strongly never to go to the distillery. Well, kids being kids, he did exactly what his father told him not to do. His father got home, he was passed out on the grass top next to the distillery, next to the barn, wherever the distillery was. And he said his father didn't discipline him because he felt that he learned his lesson with the hangover. My stepfather vowed never to drink again, never to drink to excess again, because he learned his lesson that day. I remember with my stepfather learning how to drive. He was as patient as anyone can be. I'd merge into traffic without looking around, and he wouldn't say a word. He said, "You just cut all those people off back there." He wouldn't get unhinged. He would just allow me to be. It was a teaching moment for me. He used it as teaching moments. So now that he's, again, sitting in the passenger seat, he's still very patient. I remember as he got close to time to not being able to drive anymore, when we knew it was about time to take his driver's license away, he received a letter in the mail from the DMV. It's like 5 or 6 pages long. He pulls it out one evening and he hands it to me. He said, "The DMV sent this to me, and they want me to fill it out, and I don't know if I should or not." So I looked at it, and it was an application to see if they would renew his driver's license. I said, "Well, how do you feel about driving?" We knew that he shouldn't be driving. He had actually stopped driving. He says, "Well, I don't think I should drive anymore." I said, "Then there's no reason for us to even look over this anymore. Let's just put it away and not even worry about it." So my mom has become his primary driver. What I've learned through parenting my parents is that we should be as patient with them as they were with us while we were learning and making mistakes and doing things that were questionable. My mom recently had emergency surgery. My husband and I stayed overnight there at my parents' home. My dad gets up the next morning and he asked me to inspect him to make sure he looked okay. Reminded me of when I was growing up, wanted to know if I looked okay. These shoes match with these pants. I looked at him, I said, "I believe that's what you had on yesterday." He says, "I'm glad I came to you." So he still has a sense of humor. So I sent him back in the room just like my parents would do me. That skirt's too short or pants are too tight. I sent him back in the room to change. He came back out. He had on something that was more presentable. And he jokingly told me that, "I'm glad I came to you because your mom would have fussed at me if I had gotten there to the hospital and still had the same clothes on from yesterday." So a few things I want to leave with you, the thoughts that I want you to remember, is one, life really is very short. Be careful how you treat others. 2, no matter if you're 3 or 53, your parents are going to always be your parents. And 3, show them the same love and respect they showed you when you were younger.